Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Happy New Year, everyone, and you know what that means. It's time to share my top 10 anticipated board games for 2023. All of these games have the release date of 2023 listed on them on the Board Game Geek database, so that's where I'm pulling them from. I'm excited to share them with you today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow, and for those of you already subscribed, thank you so much for the continuous support. Let's talk about my top 10 most anticipated board games of 2023. Starting off with number 10, we have Arcs. Now, this is a leader game designed by Cole Worley, and the idea is to have you going on an arc on a space epic. You'd be playing through 3 different games that's completely driven through trick-taking. You'll be using your cards to take actions and exert influence and ultimately come out on top. Now, the reason that this one is on the list here and a little bit low, it's kind of a weird place to be, is because I've been receiving some development emails from them saying that they are going to be taking longer than expected, so it was delayed. But the reason that it was delayed is because they are refining the game system based on the initial feedback of the review copies while the Kickstarter was running. Now, this is either a positive thing or a negative thing. Now, I saw that in Trudvang Legends, they did a complete overhaul of the entire system, and that game did not do very well. It was one of my disappointments from last year. But I did see that during the Oath designer diaries, they said that they opted not to give further development into the action system, where I think that game would have benefited from it. So seeing that this designer is taking time to make sure he's giving us the best product, that's something that I am thrilled about. So hopefully that Arcs becomes an incredible game in the line of the leader asymmetric style, and this one sounds like it has an action system that's going to drive players to be constantly playing in this short campaign experience that's going to get you coming back to finish it. So that's my number 10, Arcs. My number 9 goes to Slay the Spire, and I'm not going to beat around the bush with you. This is mainly because of the Paperback Adventures board game that I've loved so much from 2022. So this is a roguelike deck building game where you're going to be building up your deck of cards, adding new cards to it, upgrading your pre-existing cards, and trying to make it as far as you can in a dungeon. Now, this one is actually not just solo, as the video game it's based off of is, but it's also cooperative, and that's the reason I'm so excited for it. I love Paperback Adventures, but it really is just a solo game, and it's built for that. It's the best way to play, and I found the 2-player was just not as engaging as I just want to always be taking my turn. But this game has been designed with cooperative play at the forefront, and that's going to be its boon, I hope, which is why it's on this list. I know that the video game is an amazing solo experience, so if Slay the Spire can capture the roguelike deck building feeling, but bring in the cooperation and coordination that makes a good board game, a cooperative board game, that's what I am excited for. So that's my number 9, Slay the Spire, the board game. My number 8 goes to Castles of Burgundy, the special edition. Now, this one is on here because I already know I like this game, and this deluxe edition here introduces new artwork, new tiles. This is sort of the deluxe edition that we've been waiting for this game. Now, there is a lot of stuff that's a little bit over the top with the addition of miniatures, but I think that there is going to be some bonuses in here that people aren't really talking about, and that has to do with the way that the special ability tiles have clarifications to their abilities on the back of them. You can see these yellow tiles here. They have the special effects that once you put them into your city, you'll be able to benefit them for the rest of the game, but sometimes when they come out, it gets a little annoying to have to pull them out of the bag, flip them over, and then understand, okay, what is this? Okay, what does this do? And so they are actually on the back of each of those yellow tiles giving you explanations. So you can simply flip it as a reminder or when they come out, so there's no additional added confusion. Awesome, particularly with all the expansions. You're not going to have to dig into the rulebook to find the ones that are specific. They also have brought back this black symbol on the tiles. The Anniversary Edition removed them, so it made putting the game away a little bit of a bear. But whoa, this production looks incredible. One of the other coolest things is the fact that they have upgraded metal coins, but the actual tiles, you can get acrylic versions of the cardboard ones, and whew, talk about a luxury experience. Once again, a game that we already know is amazing with the production that it deserves. So excited. That is the Castles of Burgundy, the Deluxe Edition. Next up is another GameFound project. This is 20 Strong, coming from Chip Theory Games. This is in their small solo line of games, and that's honestly why I'm so excited for it. Chip Theory Games has made some of the best solo games, period, and having one that is in such a small time period with this system that you can integrate with all of the different IPs that are in the Chip Theory Games catalog, this sounds like a no-brainer to me. You're going to have this new unique property, Solar Sentinels, where you'll be playing a bit of a story game through, using this dice check system that will be able to be universal and put into those different universes and IPs. 30 to 40 minutes for a simple solo experience that looks like it comes in a small box. I'm into it. This is the sort of solo game I enjoy, and if the decision space is there to make it a gripping and gratifying game that you'll want to go back to again and again, that's all I ask for. So excited for something that is small in size, but also in upkeep, that can be played over and over again. Yes, sign me up for 20 Strong, my number 7. My number 6 goes to Oranienburger Kanal. Now, this one is an Uwe Rosenberg game that combines a lot of ideas from things like Glass Road and Noosefjord, as well as Hallertau, with a combination of a lot of mechanisms that I enjoy. Now, this one has a lot of cards to be placing onto your board that you'll get bonuses for playing them and then reactivating them. So I love that your objectives, essentially, through playing these cards are not just one time. There's something that you can invest in and do multiple times. But it also has the limited worker amount that some of the other games that he uses apply. Now, one thing that actually made me really excited for this one in particular was I recently played Atiwa, the bat game that's set in Ghana that Uwe just released, and I thought that one was missing those special abilities and modularity from the card sets, whereas Oranienburg Kanal has multiple expansions that have replacement decks of cards that you can swap in and out to add to that variability and to make it exciting, that cross combination of these different expansion elements. So I think Atiwa needs something like that on their cards, something that flares it up a little bit. It makes it a bit more interesting and gripping to come back again and again. But I think that Oranienburg Kanal has that in spades with those different expansion modules, the way that they're going to be coming out, and the sequences in which you're playing them into your board and managing your resources. So I'm hoping to be blown away by Oranienburg Kanal. That is my number 6. My number 5 goes to Skytear Horde. Now, this is bid as a castle defense card battler. You'll have your own deck of cards that you'll be playing your monsters, creatures, and spell from to try to repel the enemy from getting in and dealing damage. Now, the presentation of this game is insane. You'll get this fancy deluxe box, the trays easily come out, you'll have this playmat that just rolls right onto the board, and you're ready to play. I love stuff like this where you're able to get the game going right away, and if the gameplay is as exciting and interesting as it sounds, I'm all for it. Skytear Horde offers competitive, solo, and co-op play, so hopefully it does all three of them in equally strong ways, but the idea of taking your own deck of special powers and abilities in this tactical puzzle, that's something that I'm interested in playing. You have a lot of people who have already played the game that seem to enjoy it, but this seems right up my alley as I enjoy things like Hearthstone and this fantasy theme, and I have not yet found a board game that takes that deck of cards and lets me skirmish, aside from Clash of Decks, which I have been enjoying, but it's not necessarily as grand or epic as this. So I'm excited to play Skytear Horde, and I hope it lives up to this hype here. That is my number 5. My number 4 goes to Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Sleeping Gods is one of my favorite games of all time, and this is a standalone expansion for the game. It tightens up the game a little bit by reducing the amount of characters you're controlling, and also will change up the combat dramatically, but retains the same exploration and skill check system that made the original so compelling. It's got solo play, cooperative play, and it also has a foreteller op for narration. It sounds like they just took everything that people had issues with in the original Sleeping Gods and fine-tuned it to make it a more refined experience. In addition, there's a Primeval Peril extra small pack that's going to give you a simpler, smaller Sleeping Gods adventure so that people can get a taste of what the system's all about. I'm always happy to have more of games that I already love and that are proven, as we saw with Castles of Burgundy, so having multiple options to explore the Wandering Sea and now the skies, I'm all for this. So that's my number 4, Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. My number 3 goes to The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This is another Chip Theory Games production that is taking the core foundation of Too Many Bones and creating a brand new game system around it. Now, I'll be honest, that's the biggest thing that I am most looking forward to, is the fact that they've taken one of my favorite games, Too Many Bones, and now they are building this new setting, this new game around it. That means that that team is able to create a new foundation using a already solid game system, but tweak things that potentially we didn't even know were wrong with the original. They're taking the encounter system, the level up system, the map system, refining them and repurposing them and putting them into this new setting. Chip Theory Games has already had success with revitalizing their old titles, like we saw with Hoplomachus and Hoplomachus Remastered and Victorum. But now that they're taking what I think is the best Chip Theory game and doing the same thing to it, putting in this new theme game, upgrading the tiles, to the encounter system, to the character sheets. I am waiting in anticipation to see what wonders they're going to make. So that is my number 3, The Elder Scrolls from Chip Theory Games. My number 2 goes to Earthborne Rangers. This is from the same design team of some of my favorite LCGs, Marvel Champions, Arkham Horror, as well as some from the Lord of the Rings team, who are bringing us a new experience in a form of a post-apocalyptic setting. Now, this is a time where some of the environment has had time to grow back, so you'll see remnants of the old world that's kind of crossing with your new settlements that you've created. It still has the same features of LCGs. You'll be creating your deck, and you'll be piloting them in a cooperative or solo setting to do some exploration and interact with a variety of different events and atmospheres. Now, there's wildlife galore in this, and this setting I think is one of the most exciting things about it, but honestly, my biggest excitement for this game is the entire team. I think I trust this group to create an experience that's going to get me coming back, and the entire game is supposed to be something that you can play in a single setting or link into a further campaign, so it's up to you how you want to approach the style. The game looks competently built with personality in each of the cards and a unique resource system that also ties into actually playing your cards. I trust this team to put out an amazing product, and Earthborne Rangers looks like it's going to be that top quality game. So that is my number 2, Earthborne Rangers. But my number 1 goes to Primal: The Awakening. Now, the first time that this game was pitched to me was they said, okay, take the Marvel Champion idea where you're using cards to pay for other cards, but your deck is consisting of the weapons that you're using to hunt down terrible creatures. You're playing a Monster Hunter style game, assembling your team, and then using that deck that you've constructed based on your weapons to take actions and maneuver around a small tactical board. It's a one-shot scenario game, or you can string it along on small mini campaigns, but overall, this gameplay looks enticing, exciting, strategic, but also tactical, and you're putting that plan forward based on that strategy that you've made during deck assembly. You have varied creatures that all have their different ways to react and interact with their environments, with you, the hunters, and their own personalities as you try to poke and prod to hopefully harvest these terrible beasts and use their different equipments for new weapons to use in your future battles to take on even more terrible tyrants. This looks like somebody took some of my favorite game concepts and smushed them all together. You have the tight map from Too Many Bones, you have the boss battling system from Kingdom Death Monster, and then you have the deck construction and card play of Marvel Champions, all wrapped into a package of monster hunting. Oh my gosh, how cool is this? You have a variety of creatures with their own AI decks. You'll be fighting in different terrained areas, and they're going to interact, I assume, differently based on what type of creature they are. You have dinosaurs and lions and dragons. Oh my, this is so exciting. I hope that this one delivers. I feel like this has been on like the most anticipated list for every single year, but I think it's well worth it based on just the presence and the presentation. Please be good. This is Primal: The Awakening, my number 1. And that's it. Those are my top 10 anticipated board games of 2023. What games are you looking forward to the most from this year? Were there anything that I missed on my list? I know that when I was sifting through, I had a list of about 45 games that I was excited that were coming to the library next year. So I'm curious to hear what you think about these titles and what made it to the top of your list. But thank you so much for watching. SideGame Strong